and a 16-year-old boy were taken to hospital. No arrests so far. Well, the other main news today is that a 28-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder following the stabbing of a 29-year-old woman in Aberfan in South Wales. A pregnant woman was subjected to a knife attack there this morning. The victim was taken to hospital and is believed to be stable, her wounds not thought to be life-threatening. Chief Inspector Rob Miles from South Wales Police gave this update earlier.
The man is known to the victim and is currently in police custody. I appreciate there will be a real sense of shock within the local community with the attack having happened in broad daylight. Local schools activated their lockdown protocols to keep people safe. Neighbourhood officers have been in the area to ensure pupils have been able to leave the school safely at the normal time. This was done as a precaution and schools will open tomorrow as normal.
The Home Secretary said today he's uncomfortable with some of the criticism directed at Rwanda as he unveiled a new asylum treaty in Kigali. It's understood new British laws are to be expedited through Parliament, declaring Rwanda a safe country for the processing of asylum seekers arriving in the UK. James Cleverly praised Rwanda for being part of the British solution, but the Shadow Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, cast doubt on his plans.
More Home Secretaries than they have asylum seekers to Rwanda, and this scheme is badly failing. They still won't tell us how much it will cost, even though we've already know that we've spent £140 million or more on this scheme. And what they could be doing is putting that money into going after the criminal smuggler gangs and taking action there instead.
Yvette Cooper. Now, the royal family was seen out in public for the first time tonight since the publication of Omid Scobie's controversial book about the family. The monarch was joined by the Queen, Prince William and Kate at a dazzling reception at Buckingham Palace, which traditionally heralds the start of the festive season for the royal family. Aides stressed it was business as usual at the white tie and tiaras event. The annual gathering welcomes over 500 members of the diplomatic corps in the staterooms at Buckingham Palace. And Sir Paul McCartney has led tributes for Wings and Moody Blues musician Denny Laine, who's died at the age of 79.
Since you gotta go, oh, you better go now.
His wife said he died after a long battle with lung disease. Denny Laine sang on the Moody Blues' multi-million-selling Go Now, as you just heard, and co-wrote the Wings hit Mull of Kintyre, which was topping the UK charts for 9 weeks in a row. Paul McCartney described him as an outstanding vocalist and guitar player, saying it had been a pleasure to know him. And Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees said he was a wonderful person and that his music would be sorely missed. Denny Laine, who's died today. You're with GB News across the UK on TV, in your car, on digital radio and on your smart speaker by saying play GB News. This is Britain's news channel.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, your look through the next day's papers with three so-called comedians. I'm Stephen Allen, and with me it's a man who spends all day fighting online hatred. It's Josh Howie. And a man who keeps Josh busy. It's Leo Kearse. All doing well, gentlemen?
Yep.
Oh, look, we've gone smart again. You can tell we're getting near Christmas. We're getting that kind of vibe.
We always dress like this nowadays. Or maybe you're just talking about this velvet jacket here.
It's just the presence of the tree in the background as well.
Oh, we've got a tree. Oh, hello. Well, this is quite a good tree. Do you think we'll be able to take this home?
I've sneaked 3 baubles out and got some impressive
Where did you hide them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're great. They're GB baubles as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's very impressive. God, you notice so much.
Sounds like an album that should be coming out. Right, let's take a look at Wednesday's front pages. The Times has Sunak's middle way on Rwanda. The Guardian goes with apocalyptic conditions in Gaza blocking aid, warns UN official. The Daily Mail, the cruelest and most indefensible doctor's strike yet. The Mirror goes with Christmas cosmetic surgery fear. The Telegraph, ministers threaten to quit over Rwanda flights law. And the Daily Star, you big babies. And those are your front pages. First up then, Josh, the Telegraph.
The big one is ministers threaten to quit over Rwanda flights law. But which ministers? Which side are we talking about here? We're talking about the lefty ministers.
Yeah.
Essentially, if Sunak goes and says, hey, EIHR, blah, blah, whoever you are, we're not going to listen to you anymore, then there are about 10, including some front benchers, who are going to step up and be like, nah, mate, nah.
He did say he wouldn't let any foreign court overrule this government when no foreign courts were actually overruling this government. So he's talking tough even when he's not in the fight.
What do you mean? What's the ECHR then?
No, but it was the UK. It was the UK government that overruled.
Yeah, the Supreme Court.
But
also the ECHR has also, stepped in and been like, oh no, you can't do that. You can't do what you want in your own country to secure your borders. Like somebody, I wonder if all these people who work for the ECHR and work for the Supreme Court, I wonder if they leave their doors open at night.
Yeah, but Supreme Court, though, is our institution. It's our country.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not wrong as well, but it was, the ECHR, whatever it stands for. I know there's two things it stands for. But there's also pressure from the right. I think what Sunak should do, they're looking at it the wrong way. They need to disincentivise all the sort of the people in the UK who are like, oh my God, we need open borders. Because they say that knowing that all they get from it, they're not going to get any of the, the negative effects. They're just going to get the sort of cheaper nannies, the cheaper loft conversions and stuff like that. All the Guardian readers
cheaper
are going to get
TV, news pundits.
The good things. Whereas, like, if we get shipping containers full of illegal migrants and convert them into housing and put them slap bang in the middle of Islington and all these places where the Guardian readers live.
Well, that's what they did in America, wasn't it? They sent up all the people from down south.
And it's totally working. It's totally working. All these places that were like, oh yeah, we're sanctuary cities. I mean, we never get anybody because we're miles away from the border, but we're sanctuary cities.
You know what?
They're now getting loads of people and it's costing them loads of money and they're really unhappy about it.
I wonder if actually the paradigm shift about immigration, or certainly illegal immigration, to this country. I think that it's becoming a bigger issue on the left as well. And I think the difference is about how it's dealt with. And I think maybe the left, the difference is that they don't want to chuck the baby out with the bathwater, which, and by baby, I mean our rights in this country. Which could be used against us.
Well, I think as long as, if you're British, as long as you don't renounce your citizenship and then try to enter the country illegally, you should be fine under
I know, but there are other human rights that we get from the EHRC as well.
It's the slippery slope argument of, well, if you can get rid of people's human rights for this, then it's only a little bit different for this and then that, and the next thing you know, they can veto our human rights for protest.
But Britain is pretty unique amongst European countries in rigidly sticking to ECHR, whatever diktats are passed down to it. Italy, I think, only sticks to about half of them. So
Leo wants to be Italy.
And that was before Giorgia Meloni got in,
wants to be Italy.
It's the Bunga Bunga party.
But actually what the story is also saying is that that's actually what they're thinking about doing is essentially they're going to sort of pass legislation that says we're going to do it anyway, but if the EHR rules against us, then we're going to do it anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it works. There's two other stories here. One is Johnson today, or tomorrow, whichever day you're listening or watching the show.
I think yesterday would be how that works.
Thursday, whatever it is, Wednesday, Thursday.
He said it tomorrow.
Johnson's finally appearing before the COVID inquiry, and he's doing some brilliant sort of muckraking or muddying the water before. He's like, you know what, guys? We should talk about whether it was a man-made virus or not. And we should talk about the effects of lockdown. Let's not look at what I did. Yeah. That's essentially what he's doing. And there's also a thing here about Labour may put vapes on prescription only, which seems somewhat ridiculous because they've already passed this in Australia. This law, you have to get a doctor's note or something to get a vape, which is ridiculous. I'm addicted. You also need it for crack. But the whole point about vapes, I think, isn't they're meant to be not healthy, but healthier than cigarettes. So even though this article goes on about how many under 18s are actually smoking, the point is how many of them are not smoking cigarettes. Surely that's better, right?
But I think because vapes are they're little and they've got lights on them and, they look like a Fisher-Price toy.
As well.
And they taste like watermelon and bubble gum. They're really aimed at kids, a lot of them. Where it just, a B&H Super King just doesn't have that sort of, even though we did it when we were kids, it just, you were doing it through gritted teeth.
Yeah, it's like Alco Pops made drinking easy. Yeah. In my day, you had to struggle through a pint of bitter that no one wanted.
Pint of bitter, a quart of vodka.
Is that we have different backgrounds, don't we? On to the Daily Mail, Leo. What are they going with?
So they've got a nice picture of the royal family there laughing at another accusation of racism, no doubt. But the big headline is the cruelest and most indefensible doctors' strike yet. So junior doctors have announced the longest walkout in NHS history. I think they're walking out for 3 days in December before Christmas. Just when, right in the middle of, Christmas is the busy time for hospitals. It's not just, Christmas parties and people falling over. It's, it's
that's
cold.
what it says in the article, though.
It's cold, really, right? It's cold, so people are getting the respiratory infections and all that sort of stuff. And then they're going to do 6 days in January, which is, that's an insane amount of time to basically shut down, a huge chunk of the National Health Service. This is over a pay. They want more money, obviously. They don't realise that they get more money if we didn't have a National Health Service. In the free market in America, doctors get paid like 1 million times more than over here. Never mind, I'll let them work that out in their own time. But they've already had like a 9% pay increase, and they want more on top of that. They want another 3%. And I don't know, it just seems like, you've signed your Hippocratic oath. I think, you can't just hold the country to hostage, hold the country to ransom.
Do they sign a Hippocratic oath? Do they not just say it out loud?
However they do it.
It's very hypocritical.
They do it.
But it is bad PR at the very least, isn't it?
It is bad PR. They
point.
are holding us to ransom a little bit. They're holding, obviously, Sunak, that's one of his 5 pledges. This is not going to help with the waiting time list. At the same time, their real income has dropped 20%. So, yes, the 9% is welcome. But at the same time, it's still not back to what it was about 10 years ago. So I don't think this is the right way to go about it. But they should be paid fairly.
I think we should open the borders and replace all the NHS doctors and nurses with people from overseas.
Yeah, but I do like how they did genuinely in the article go, yeah, it's the time of Christmas parties and we're all going to get drunk and no one's going to look after us. Yeah.
Let's move on to the Times now. Josh, what have they got?
Oh, this is a good one. KFC thwarts efforts to stop fast food outlets near schools. So this is when we found out that obesity is costing this country about £100 billion a year. It's more than they ever thought. It's the effects on all the, not just the NHS, but our productivity and whatever. And it's all down to KFC because it's so delicious. It's yum, yum, yum. And
it is good. 11 secret herbs and spices.
It's really good. So they keep on trying to open them near schools, get in there early, and then you've got a customer for life, a little fatty for life. Then a big fatty. No, but yeah. And then get them on the vapes. And it turns out, 17, I think, of the 43 cases where they managed to actually overturn the councils, and then another 8 cases they managed to get them to water it down. And you know what? As a parent of children who are near, of the age in schools going off to buy stuff, I think that I don't mind. Because then I don't have to pay for dinner. I'm totally happy with this. It's a cheap meal.
Leo, the Colonel, he's a bit legal on these things. He's swooping in as soon as there's any kind of rules coming in and getting some legal defence.
Yeah, I guess it's their business, it's their money, the Purdue of fried chicken. But it's not even that delicious. I'll tell you what's more delicious: Popeye's chicken.
What?
Popeye's, and I reckon
Where's Popeyes? Where do you get it?
You get it, the rapidly expanding. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just find it much more delicious than KFC.
You might get sent some free stuff now, though.
Freshly, don't even need it. It's so cheap. You don't even need to get it free.
I challenge you, Popeyes. Send in a bunch of
KFC versus Popeyes. We can do a taste test live on the show.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We can then move on to the Mirror, finally. Leo, what they got?
So they've done an investigation on the Christmas cosmetic surgery fear. So apparently this Turkish company is selling cheap festive deals at events in Britain. They've got risky bum lifts. That sounds like, you can come out for a cheeky pint. No, I'm having a risky bum lift.
Well, they could have just had a tandoori or something.
So, yeah.
I think that's what Matt Hancock did to that woman he was having an affair with.
He did indeed. So risky bum lifts are offered, but no danger warnings despite deaths. Funnily enough, Turkey, in my experience, is a much better. I got my hair done in Turkey, and it was great. It was in a porta cabin next to the airport. There's chickens running across the floor and stuff. The surgeon was wearing Crocs. It was, if anything, it was below the standards of the NHS. But, it still did a great job. The surgery that's done in the UK is quite often subpar. Rory O'Hanlon got his hair done. He had to get it redone twice and spent way more money than if he'd gone to Turkey.
And how is your bum lift?
Well, you can check it out after the show.
Well, it's one thing to do in the interval, isn't it? That's it for part 1. Coming up in part 2, British students are bad at maths, but then so is Sadiq Khan when it comes to knife crime stats. You'll get the goss shortly.
We're here for the show. Welcome to the Dinosaur Hour with me, John Cleese. I was married to a therapist.
And you survived?
I thought we were getting Hugh Laurie.
Second best.
You interviewed Saddam Hussein. What's that like?
I was terrified. I'm playing strip poker with these three.
Oh! No, thank you.
My CDs need to be put in alphabetical order.
Are you going to be problematic again?
The Dinosaur Hour. Sundays on GBNews.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Good afternoon, Britain. Join us, Tom and Emily,
to find out what's happening in the heart of Westminster
and why it matters to you.
Weekdays from midday, we bring you the most compelling stories from across the United Kingdom.
And from your doorstep to our inbox.
That's right, we want to hear from you.
GB News,
Britain's news channel.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join us every night on GB News at 11 p.m. for Headliners, which is 3 top comedians going through the next day's news stories, which is exactly what you need, because when the establishment has gone crazy, you need some craziness to make sense of it.
Headliners. You don't have to bother reading the newspaper. We've got it covered for you. Every night at 11 p.m. and repeated every morning at 5 a.m. We won't send you to sleep like some of the other paper review shows out there.
So join us 11 p.m. every night on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you.
Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
There's only 3 people you can trust in life. Your doctor, your lawyer, and your nana.
I'm not sure.
So join me, Nana Aquare, at 3 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday, where we discuss the biggest topics of the weekend. Be ready for battle. Could you be quiet? What is this?
It's on your teeth.
It's on your teeth. I don't bite. Well, not without a good reason. Always honest, always fun. Every weekend at 3 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Stephen Allen, still here with newspaper whisperers Josh Howie and Leo Kearse. Wednesday's Telegraph, Josh, and new immigration rules could see people getting married. Haven't they suffered enough?
I know. New migration rules could lead to big increase in rush marriages, Labour warns. So this is one of the new policies that essentially... It used to be that you could be earning like 18 grand, and now you have to earn 38 grand before you're allowed to bring over any spouses and whatnot. So they're thinking, do you remember the movie Green Card with Gerard Depardieu? And they're thinking essentially that lots of people are going to get married before this comes into law so that they can stay. But I think that's a good thing. We want people to be married. In fact, let's keep on tricking people. Like, we're going to bring in the law now, and we'll wait another 6 months.
Yeah, instead of a knife amnesty, say, like, you can keep your knives if you get married.
Who wants to marry someone on 18 grand, though? That's going to be difficult, isn't it?
Hello, Mrs. Howie.
Is that not going to be... no. Would you actually think people are going to bother to do this?
Yeah, to stay in this wonderful country. What do you say about Great Britain?
I think there's going to be a lot of carve-outs for certain industries, because a lot of people in the NHS actually don't earn £30,700, and the NHS is still dependent on, you know, we've got to harvest, we've got to steal the sort of doctors and nurses from overseas, because we're not growing enough here. And apparently they don't need them in Nigeria. Apparently Nigeria has so many doctors and nurses, they can just give them all to the UK, and they don't have lack of care, or they don't. I don't know how Nigeria does it.
We should point out that Leo's being sarcastic.
Yeah. It would solve 2 problems at once, though, wouldn't it? That they've got doctors going on strike wanting to get paid more, and the only way to get doctors in the country is to pay them more.
Maybe they should get married? What, is that what you're trying to say?
All the doctors should marry each other.
I think what they're going to do is certain industries, they'll say, like, no, you don't have to reach. And also certain parts of the country, because, I mean, it's below the median salary in London, but it's above the median salary up north.
Outside zone 2. But so this is Labour saying, essentially, oh, we don't like this idea because look at what could happen. People might have to get really married. They're sort of grasping at straws here. At the same time, Labour's very at pains to go, we also want to cut down migration as well. We just want to have a look at this a little bit more. She does give a good line. This is Yvette Cooper, gave a really good line here. She said, they've now sent more Home Secretaries than they have asylum seekers to Rwanda. Boom! That's some good politicking there.
Good. The least they could have done is just pop one on the plane.
Yeah,
every time they sent over
like save some fuel.
Yeah.
Put Greta on.
To the Daily Mail, Leo, and China is better at maths than the UK. But to be fair, they did kill off a lot of their girl babies. So
yes. So British students are still lagging behind rival countries like Singapore, Japan and Estonia. I don't think any of them are rival countries for the UK. What metric are we rivaled with Singapore, Japan and Estonia in the same league table? That's just weird, unless it's, I don't know, sumo wrestling or something. No, it's maths, reading and science. And this is after lockdown wrecked our scores. It didn't wreck the scores for kids in other countries. So yeah, we're still outside the top 10. They've got the Programme for International Student Assessment, which is how they measure it, and we're well there. I don't know if this is because other countries, because obviously, you know, China. A lot of these countries are China or Chinese-ish, like, you know, Singapore, Macau, Hong Kong, and they've got, you know, they sort of get the kids to work. The kids aren't fat and lazy and stupid. They've got this, they've really sort of cracked the whip over them. Probably literally in some cases in some parts of China.
Yeah. But even America's better at reading than we are. Those U's are slowing us down.
Oh, indeed. Well, this article, actually what it's saying is that we have recovered a little bit better. Like, it's a shame because since they started doing the, like, when they were really looking into this about 10 years ago, they did make real improvements over the last decade, and then they've gone down, which is a shame. But what they're saying is the decline in outcomes has been slower than on average across the other country. In that sense, the UK has been relatively more successful. So we're not as pathetic as whatever. But also, this is 15-year-olds that they've tested. That is not going to show anything. You wait 6 years' time when they're testing my 9-year-old, which is my personal theory about who was the worst affected. It was the kids who were about 5 or 6 during that lot. That was when those core subjects get locked in, reading, the cores of maths. Those 2-3 years absolutely mess them up for life, and we are going to see, like, precipitous falling off in about 6 years' time.
And we're also seeing a lot of kids coming into the country from overseas as part of this, you know, huge influx of immigration. It was like nearly 1.3 million people entered the country last year. So if you've got people who don't speak English as a first language, they're obviously going to, you know, not do as well at reading and maths and, you know, in education. You know, when they first get here, and it's also, you know, possibly going to slow down the class because, you know, they need.
You know, there's a drinking game where if you bring in immigration to a story that doesn't.
Well, maybe we could bring down,
do shots.
Maybe we could bring down immigration and it wouldn't get mentioned. How about that?
Our maths ability wouldn't be as good without immigration, because I was watching Doctor Who, and Sir Isaac Newton, I was surprised to find,
was Asian man, yeah.
Which I think is actually more racist to cast like that, just because he's good at calculus. Doesn't mean he actually isn't. Anyway, let's move on to the Daily Mail. Josh, the Office for National Statistics, often called left-wing, anti-growth. You can't trust anything it says. What's that? I'm being told they're having a go at Sadiq Khan. We like them.
Oh, suddenly everything falls into place. Sadiq Khan is ticked off by the ONS for falsely claiming that knife crime had fallen in London. So there was a press release in July. I think I saw a clip basically where they were like, knife and gun crime, it's all gone down. I've been a great leader to your city. And everybody was like, no, mate. It's gone it's gone way up now. So the ONS have stepped in, and not only is it's not even like it's gone up 40% since Sadiq Khan has gone. So that's a huge thing. And now the mayor office, a spokesperson said, no, what we meant was people from knife offences with injuries affecting people under 25. Those go down. So basically, knife crime by left-handed people on a Sunday with people wearing waistcoats that are red. those have gone down.
Yeah, I think
that's the gist of it.
He's got Diane Abbott doing his stats. I think this is just cherry picking the data, as Josh said. I used to work in criminal intelligence. There's probably a drinking game where you have a drink every time I mention that. But yeah, you can cherry pick the data. You can pick different time periods to measure from, and yeah, they're just trying to make themselves look good. When in fact, Sadiq Khan has been an abysmal mayor, certainly on the metric of knife crime.
And also, I don't care about the people getting injured under 25. There's some people over 25 being injured that I'm worried about, and those ones are the ones that have gone up. By the way, I do care about people under 25.
And saying things like that, we understand why it's gone up as well.
Oh, yeah, please, yeah.
Wednesday's Guardian, Leo, and if you are depressed, you might not need antidepressants. You might just be right, because have you seen the world?
yeah. So medical experts and politicians have called for the amount of antidepressants being prescribed to people across the UK to be reduced in an open letter to the government. So apparently a total of, it's nearly 9 million patients in England were prescribed antidepressants in the last year. That's almost doubled since 2011, according to the NHS. So, I mean, it seems unlikely that the number of depressed people has doubled. So we've got a problem with over-prescribing. We've got a prescription mentality. Instead of looking at, things that might be making people depressed, such as being a criminal intelligence analyst or immigration. So they've got this parliamentary group called Beyond Pills, which sounds like an after-party. But they're trying to stop the reliance on prescription.
Yeah, it's also not coincided with an improvement in our mental health.
Well, that's the scary thing, yeah, that has declined, even though this, as you say, the medication's doubled. So, and it's going to obviously save us a lot of money. That's one thing. And also the over-reliance on these things, it's not like they don't have side effects to them. So, yeah, this seems like a good thing. There are two people groups I'm somewhat afraid of, Hamas and Scientologists, genuinely. And I think Scientologists would actually, if you say bad stuff about them, they can mess up your life in a day-to-day way worse than Hamas, just from previous area. But the point is, they're really against this kind of medication. Yeah. Because they see it as like a theme to what they do, which is like a natural way of doing it. So they're really against like Prozac and stuff.
Yeah. I'm just gone pro-Scientology tonight.
No, I think that this could be Big Pill, instead of being allied with Big Pharma, have gone. The Scientologists might be. Yeah. I'm just saying.
And it's life in the West. People are living these atomised lives with no social contact. We need to get back to the family, having a family. People aren't having kids anymore, and we're going to get to it later on. But people should have kids. They make you happy.
One of the side effects of antidepressants is apparently loss of libido. Yeah. So you're not going to have kids either. If that's what I mean, you're not going to cheer yourself up doing the one thing you normally cheer.
Also, when you have kids, you don't get time to be able to go down to get the medication refills.
Strange place. Right, let's move on. The Guardian, Josh, and as they say in the US, guns don't kill people, people do. But it's people with guns, so you can still see a link.
I do see the link, yes. US, oh, God, I want to be sort of funny about this, but it's also really terrible. Yeah. US breaks record for the most mass shootings in single year after weekend murders. So, maybe I shouldn't be funny about this. Maybe I don't have the skills to be funny about this. A mass shooting is 4+ people, not including the shooter. There have been... but there's some interesting statistics that come across here that, first of all, 26 of the 38 that have happened in private homes. So when we see stuff on the news, we sort of see things in parks or this or that, and it's like, oh, well, is that good news that it's in private homes? Like, if you family or...
Sounds more like it's people who know, the victims are known to the offenders, if you know what I mean.
I'm guessing it's, families and so, as you say, someone they know. But this is the constant debate about guns. By the way, supposedly last weekend, last Sunday, there were like 2 horrible mass murders, but there was actually 3 because another one just involved knives, killing a bunch of people as well. So... I don't know. It's. What do you think? Do you think everybody should have guns?
No, it's depressing statistics, but if you asked Sadiq Khan to go through them, I bet you can make these look good. There's been a decrease in the last year.
Yeah, and also you got to. Already there are a few terrible tragedies, but you see some of these terrible tragedies, like car ownership. We wouldn't give up travel. We wouldn't give up, flying on a plane or driving in a car, but they do lead to deaths. Yeah. And guns are really cool.
But the purpose of a car isn't to hit someone with it, but the purpose of a gun is to shoot.
I think
which you need. Sometimes you need to shoot people.
Have you got a gun?
I used to have a gun.
Okay.
I had a shotgun license from like the age of 12. My dad's a gunsmith. Used to have loads of guns.
There we go. Someone big gun company over here. Take a shot, everybody. But let's just say, I don't think the problem is guns. The problem is Americans.
That's it for part 2. It's Don Lassac. Coming up in part 3, we'll talk about the latest on porn sites and women going into men's prisons. That's not the same story. We'll see you shortly.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GBNews, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
There's only 3 people you can trust in life. Your doctor, your lawyer, and your nana.
I'm not sure.
So join me, Nana Aquare, at 3 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday, where we discuss the biggest topics of the weekend. Be ready for battle.
Could you be quiet? What is this? It's my new teeth.
It's your new teeth. I don't bite. Well, not without a good reason. Always honest, always fun. Every weekend at 3 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join us every night on GB News at 11 p.m. for Headliners, which is 3 top comedians going through the next day's news stories, which is exactly what you need, because when the establishment has gone crazy, you need some craziness to make sense of it.
Headliners. You don't have to bother reading the newspaper. We've got it covered for you. Every night at 11 p.m. and repeated every morning at 5 a.m. We won't send you to sleep like some of the other paper review shows out there.
So join us 11 p.m. every night on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Who is it? We're here for the show. Welcome to the Dinosaur Hour with me, John Cleese. I was married to a therapist.
And you survived?
I thought we were getting Hugh Laurie. Second best. You interviewed Saddam Hussein. What's that like?
I was terrified. I'm playing strip poker with these 3.
Oh! No, thank you.
My CDs need to be put in alphabetical order.
Are you going to be problematic again?
The Dinosaur Hour. Sundays on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. To the Express, Leo, and porn sites will be scanning your face. Why? So they know when you're finished?
So there's a warning for users of UK porn sites, or UK users of porn sites, because some of them might be based overseas. I know some of the ones I access are, but your face may soon be scanned when you visit these porn sites. They need strict age verification technology. This is Ofcom now that it's in control of the internet as well. And one of the ways, there's various ways they can do it. They can have you have to share your bank account details, photo ID checks, and credit card checks. None of which I don't really want to send my bank account details to some dodgy site in Romania. So what they're going to do instead, or what they're suggesting, is facial age estimation scanning. So yeah, you better stop using that moisturiser on your face.
It's perfect.
It's not going to work for me.
The only loophole is that someone might look overage, but they've just been on that site too much.
No, the other loophole is that, say you're taking a nap and then your teenage son...
And would it work with a picture? Because I've seen that being done with
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, Mission Impossible. I'm sure
get a mask.
I'm sure as a woman, she was on a plane and she discovered her husband was having an affair by like getting his face to unlock the phone.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
sweet. Okay, good
So
for her.
yeah, have a PIN code as
Have a
well.
bit.
That's
This
good.
goes back. If you're doing the drinking game, can I bring back my whole idea about bringing pornography back to magazines? This is something I truly believe in. I think it will make our nation better and stronger.
No.
Get back magazines that'll bring, first of all, encourages reading and also imagination. You have to fill in the gaps yourself a little bit.
They're a vector for COVID.
Oh, you believe in COVID now?
To The Guardian then, Josh, and news from Scotland that could save Nicola Sturgeon's career. And what's that? I've been told camper van. All right, forget that.
I was going to say niche, but it feels like a long time since the whole camper van days,
we
the
talked
good
about
old
it a
days, yeah.
lot.
Trans. Oh my God, do you remember trans people? But they were it was before Hamas.
Like an earlier album's getting played again. Yeah, all the hits.
Wow, trans inmates with history of violence against women to be mostly kept out of female Scottish jails. So that mostly is doing a lot of lifting there, where in Scotland, if people remember back in the day, Isla Bryson, who was a man called Adam Graham, who had raped 2 women, then went, I'm a woman now myself, and then got sent to a female jail until it caused a big hoo-ha, and then she resigned, not she, but, you know, whatever her name was. What was the
Nicola Sturgeon.
Nicola Sturgeon, yes. But
how soon we forget.
How soon we forget. But what they're saying now is, so they open a review into this, and they're saying, look, if you are a trans woman and you, as long as you haven't a history of violence towards women, or you're not at risk of violence towards women, then you could still go to a female jail. Essentially, is what they're saying. They're saying in exceptional circumstances. You would. So really, it's just the problem here is it's if you're currently assessed as a risk to women, well, then it's subjective.
I mean, surely the whole point, like you've been convicted of a crime, that's generally a sort of risk factor.
It's a red flag.
And when you're, if you're going to commit other crimes. Yeah. So, the fact that it's a self-defining thing.
And it's not that different from what the rules were at the time. They've not really shifted much. And back I remember talking about it, here, it was meant to be done in a case-by-case basis, and risk was meant to be included. So that's kind of what they've said.
It's kind of what they say. And also, the big factor they're forgetting is we're talking about women who are at risk or have been through trauma themselves, even being locked away with a man. Some of them will have been sexually abused, a very high proportion of the female population, prison population. And so they're locked away. Now, whether this man, biological man, is an actual risk or not, that's still going to be affecting these people who have no choice to be locked up with.
Yeah, what about their feelings? And also, like, we know society doesn't care about, working class people in the underclass. I mean, look at, Rotherham and all the rest of it. So even when this goes wrong and there are attacks in prison, nobody's going to care. It's the terrible thing, Guardian. It's all Me Too, but only for posh women.
Well, on to the Independent, Leo, and Conor McGregor has come out fighting.
So Conor McGregor outlines plan to become president of Ireland. It's amazing. So after the Dublin riots of whenever it was 10 days ago, he was attacked by the establishment. So he was tweeting. He was very critical of the government.
Wouldn't Ireland need to leave Great Britain first?
It's not. Ireland's a separate country. It's in the EU. That's very funny.
There's an email about it.
But
sorry.
He was attacked by the establishment. They're basically weaponised hate crime laws to come after him. So because of his tweets, they say they're basically persecuting a dissident, like Putin does with Kasparov. Except even Putin's a bit more subtle about it. So Irish politics is really anti-democratic at the moment. So it really needs an outsider, a sort of Javier Milei type, a Trump type person to come and shake things up. At the moment, the Irish government pays NGOs. 8% of the Irish government's budget goes to NGOs, non-governmental organisations, that then lobby the government with its own ideas. So the government can pretend, this is what the public want. No, it's literally buying. It's buying organisations to paying the organisations to send its own opinions, preferred opinions back to it. So it needs Conor McGregor to get in there and shake things up. I mean, being president in Ireland, it's not a particularly... you don't have a lot of power. It's not like being president of America. But I think the message it would send to the establishment would be just amazing.
Yeah. The article points out quite meanly, twice in the article, that he lost his latest fight.
Yeah,
you have to mention it once.
2021. He lost. The big loser. But I don't know. Do you think I don't know enough about local Irish politics to be able to say whether how much he's revered or not? Obviously, he's not a politician, but he's obviously massively famous over there. And he's saying, "Look, I'm an outsider. I don't have any bias, and I'll give you all a vote every week."
Sounds like a lot of work.
That does sound like people don't. Do we want to vote every week?
But, I mean, he's not talking about a referendum every week. But I think Irish politics, like most governments in the West, have drifted so far away from what the people actually want, from what voters actually want, that something like this needs to happen. We're seeing it happen a lot as well.
He's a disruptor.
Yeah,
he can punch people. The Daily Mail, Josh, and spending time alone can make you less stressed, but you have to do it properly, which means getting your face scanned.
That's a callback to anybody tuning in to that particular story.
Or even if you've only just tuned in but you know that news story. I thought about it. I thought, should I do that as a setup that requires an earlier story? Yeah,
I think, you know what? We've got people... We don't have people dipping in and out of the show. We have people dedicating their time, 11 o'clock, driving, at home, getting ready for bed, whatever it is, they got that reference.
The thing, they must have known I was going to mention a porn story more than just in the porn story.
Even if they didn't get the reference, they would still guess it was about porn.
Google it. Of course it was about porn. I did it.
So, spending time alone is good for you. Yeah. Scientists say solitude can help relieve the pressures of modern life. This is a very confusing article. You know I'm not that bright. And it seems to be saying, if I've got the gist of it, that being alone is quite good as long as you like being alone. Is that have I read the 4 or 5 pages? Yeah. That seems to be the gist of it. If you like being alone is good.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it's saying.
And the opposite of that is if you don't like being alone, it's not good, and that checks out too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I right? Did I read this correctly?
Yeah, it's just interesting that you never hear that. You read a lot of articles about how loneliness is such a terrible thing. Always written by some lonely journalist, waiting for their 50 quid from The Guardian. But apparently old people especially suffer from loneliness a lot. But in my experience, that's because they're boring and annoying. So maybe we could have training sessions for them.
Yeah. Could get The Guardian writers with old people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, you'll never do a survey that finds people who enjoy being on their own, because they're nowhere near people with clipboards on the high street.
Yeah, won't talk to anybody.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm doing a gig, I look forward to going on the drive. Yeah. I'm like, you want me to go to Birmingham for 20 minutes? I'll get 4 hours in the car by myself.
I was saying, I got an operation on the weekend. I'm looking forward to a morning of being under general anaesthetic because I can't be asked to do anything, no phone calls. Oh, it's going to be sweet.
What operation?
I'm having something taken out. Let's see who wins funny women.
Is it one of those baubles?
To the Telegraph, Leo. And Kim Jong-un cried as he tried to talk women into making babies. Sounds like my chat-up technique at university.
So Kim Jong-un has been filmed crying while appealing to North Korea's women to have more children and raise them to love the authoritarian state. He fits that bit into every speech. But yeah, basically, he said he was addressing thousands of women gathered at a national mothers' meeting in Pyongyang.
Oh, he looks
that's good pronunciation.
Says, there he is.
Oh, hello.
There he is, looking all cool with his...
Is he crying?
With his cool...
But he's also got the bangs as well, doesn't he?
Other people in the audience also dabbed their eyes.
That was a really old person.
Because if they don't... The people who don't dab their eyes get shot and fed to his dogs.
Is he really crying? Or has he got fake...
Yeah, look, he's dabbing his eyes.
I don't know.
He's dabbing his eyes.
I did not see any real tears.
Anyway, he says that stopping the decline in birth rates and providing good childcare and education are all our family affairs that we should solve together with our mothers. Yeah, I mean, maybe it lost something in the translation, or gained something in the translation. But yeah, North Korea's fertility rate has dropped. It's down to like 1.79. It's not as bad as
It's higher than the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think in the UK it's like 1.5. Yeah. And this is a serious thing, because economists are all saying, oh, well, we're going to have have massive immigration to replace the people, the kids we're not having. It's like, well, what's that going to do to the country if we completely replace the people? It's not going to be Britain anymore. Basically, it's not going to be the Britain we know. So yeah, it's weird to see it happening in North Korea as well, because there's not much there to do except for have kids.
Fair enough.
Demographics is destiny.
Yep.
And their rate is twice as high as South Korea, which is 0.78. So
eventually,
this is the issue. And
communism works.
This is the issue of our times.
And that's it for part 3. Coming up, why young people are buying emergency food but getting rid of their tonsils. A little oil, a little seasoning, 2 birds, 1 stone on that one. Details on the way.
Your weekend starts here with Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, 8 till 9 on GB News. Big stories, big guests and big laughs as we get you ready for a cracking weekend. That's Friday Night Live with Mark Dolan. Fridays 8 till 9 on GB News. Bring your own drinks. The admission's free.
Wake up to the headlines with Headliners every morning at 5 a.m. We treat you to the day's biggest stories before anyone else, 7 days a week. You can catch up on everything you need to know before you've even had your kippers. Headliners every morning at 5 a.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens. With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to give you accurate reporting every day. When the news breaks, we'll be there with bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Good afternoon, Britain. Join us, Tom and Emily,
To find out what's happening in the heart of Westminster.
and why it matters to you.
Weekdays from midday, we bring you the most compelling stories from across the United Kingdom.
And from your doorstep to our inbox.
That's right, we want to hear from you.
GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB News, unlike other broadcasters, isn't obsessed with the London-Westminster bubble. We think there's a nation beyond the M25, and that's why we talk about the issues that matter across the land. Join me on State of the Nation, 8 to 9 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, on GB News. Daisy's listening, and you should too.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you.
Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. The Metro Josh Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out in my day. If you wanted to steal a car and beat people up, you had to wait for your next night out. I am from Mansfield. We should remember that.
Indeed. GTA 6 trailer. I wonder if there would be... Is there a GTA Manfield edition?
Yeah. They'll get there eventually.
Yeah. They're working their way down Miami and whatnot. So GTA 6 trailer has 50 million views, but more dislikes than GTA 5. They're the haters out there. Essentially, it's been a massive success. I mean, they did... Here we go. I mean, that looks real-ish. Oh, God, hello.
If you're listening on the radio or on the TV right now, good luck to you.
We're seeing lots of beautiful women and parties and gangsters hanging out and
It's like an intro to a CSI Miami.
Yeah, it looks...
and that's the female protagonist, apparently, Lucia.
Lucia. Oh, someone's catching an alligator. Oh, some twerking on top of a car. OK, it does look pretty badass. I might even, like, get a PlayStation, is that what it is? Something,
I don't know
something like that. It does look amazing. It's not coming out until 2025. But, you know, I mean, the big statistic to always bring out is the video games industry is worth more than television, books and films altogether.
Yeah.
It's huge. Billions, 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 billions.
It's dead big. The one thing that slightly worries me is the Rockstar Games that make it, Scottish company, I think, they've been in this sort of diversity hiring spree. So I'm worried that this is going to be like the sort of the Disney-fied version of Grand Theft Auto, because remember, it's famous for basically you can be the most horrible person in the world in it. You know, it's teenage boys just going around beating up women and all the rest of it. So yeah,
it didn't look like it. There was someone twerking on top of a car.
It could have lost that edge.
And she had tattoos on her bum.
To the Daily Mail, Leo, young Americans are prepping in case the next election breaks the fabric of their society. And me too, I've got the popcorn in.
So younger Americans, when you think of preppers, you know, doomsday preppers, you think of sort of boomers, middle-aged people, you know, prepping in their bunkers out in the Midwest. But no, younger Americans that are afraid of the 2024 election could spark a civil war are preparing for disaster. Apparently 40% of Gen Z have spent money on doomsday preparations. However, when you then look at what these preparations are, it's they bought food and water, and 20% of them purchased toilet paper. Turns out I've been a doomsday prepper all this time. I thought I just wanted to wipe my bum, but no, apparently I'm preparing for the end of times.
They could have got it on Uber Eats or whatever, as and when they need. What it really is about is that Gen Z was raised on The Last of Us and The Walking Dead. It's not. They're just all a bunch of scaredy cats.
But the political polarisation in America is insane. What's interesting, you've got left-wing people who are worried that Trump's going to bring in this sort of authoritarian, dictatorial system. When actually, if you look at politics, people like Trudeau, Jacinta Ardern, it's them. It's the left that bring in this sort of authoritarianism. So they're wrong.
To the Daily Mail, Josh, kids who have had their tonsils out behave better, and I thought smacking them was a bit harsh.
Yeah. Has everyone at home just finished a shot from bringing in Trump? Experts call for more children to have the tonsils removed. A study shows that surgery reduces behavioural reading problems and even blood pressure. This is amazing. So because I guess if you've got issues with your tonsils, you're not sleeping as well, you're not getting those 9 to 12 hours that you're meant to get, and that affects your behaviour through the day. So now they're saying all kids should get their tonsils removed, maybe, because it'll make them sleep better and they'll help their heart and various other things.
It's terrible. Well, why would we evolve to have tonsils if they weren't performing some sort of role? Don't they filter the air as it goes in or something? They definitely do something or we wouldn't have them.
What about appendices?
Appendices keep the biome of your gut healthy.
All right, I stand corrected.
We'll try and do this in a minute if we can. The Telegraph, Josh, and a woke African female Santa has been cancelled by Belgium, but we'll probably get a special on the BBC any day.
Woke and the woke African female Santa Claus cancelled by Belgian City. The tradition over there, I think they have Black Pete, he's a friend of Santa, but they had this woman, Queen Nicola, that she's created by an artist, and she's a reworked version of Santa Claus, and she dresses in a Palestinian flag. And I already hate her. Not that I hate the Palestinian flag, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, your bias coming to the surface.
But what? It should be an Israeli flag in peace together.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Very, very happy Hanukkah, Christmas.
Is this the spirit of Christmas for you, Leo?
No, not really. I mean, this is produced by the BBC. This is ridiculous.
It's a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, it's a nonsense.
Fair enough. Well, the show is nearly over on that delightful image, so let's take one more look at Wednesday's front pages. We start with The Times, Sunak's middle way on Rwanda. The Guardian goes with apocalyptic conditions in Gaza blocking aid, warns UN official. The Daily Mail, the cruelest and most indefensible doctors' strike yet. The Mirror goes with the story Christmas cosmetic surgery fear, which includes a risky butt lift, which seems like a typo on Rishi Sunak. To the Telegraph, ministers threaten to quit over Rwanda flights law. The Daily Star goes with you big babies. Well, that's all we've got time for. Thank you to my guests, Josh Howie and Leo Kearse for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 with Nick Dixon and Kerry Marks and me. I'll be back here. If you're watching at 5 a.m, stay tuned for breakfast. And until the next one, have yourself a good one.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It'll be a colder night tonight than last night because much of the country will be under clear spells. That's because the rain many of us have seen through today, brought by this low pressure, is pushing off to the east, and behind it we've got a bit more of a settled interlude, at least that will last at least through Wednesday. So plenty of clear spells out there this evening and a frost developing quite quickly, so temperatures will drop off quite quickly tonight. There's an ice warning in force across eastern areas of Scotland. We'll see some mist and fog developing across parts of Wales and the southwest of England, and it will be widely a frosty start to the day tomorrow. But there will be some sunshine around, particularly across northern areas and eastern areas where the sunshine should last for much of the day. Further west, though, the sunshine will turn hazier throughout the day once any mist and fog clears, and you can see across parts of Northern Ireland there will be rain arriving by lunchtime. That rain will push into parts of Wales as well as Cornwall by the end of the day as well. Temperatures will start to rise, though, in the west with more of a southwesterly breeze. In the east, however, still feeling quite chilly with only highs of around 3 or 4 degrees. And then Thursday is going to be a widely more wet day. There are warnings in force for heavy rain across many western areas as well as parts of Scotland too. There could be some difficult driving conditions because of the rain, and the rain will last through the rest of the week, Friday and into the weekend.